is Edwin, and my next species that I will talk about today is the Solenopsis invicta, better known as a red important fire ant.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Kirchner, and I'm covering the tawny crazy ant or the raspberry crazy ant, also known as the Nylandera fulva. And so today our debate topic is who would be the better invading species? Okay, 2 minutes.
Okay, start. The red important fire ant has a holometabolite life cycle, which means they undergo a metamorphosis, which takes around 22 to 38 days. Red important fire ants vary in sizes. They typically have a dark reddish brown coloring. Two unique characteristics that distinguish them from other ants is they possess a pigment tied to the citriated mesentine neuron. Moreover, red important fire ants are believed to have arrived in the southern regions of the United States around 1930s and 40s on ships from South America. There are two forms of speech societies in which a red important fire ant can live, which are a single queen colony or a multiple queen colony. Workers in a single queen colony tend to be more territorial, while workers from multiple queen colonies move freely around one mound to another. Red important fire ants are usually follow a caste system which in the queen is the main authority, followed by winged males who serve to mate with queens, and in the lowest category comes the wingless sterile female workers. The lifespan of a fire ant worker usually lasts about 30 to 180 days depending on their size, while a queen may live up to 2 to 6 years. Red important fire ants cost billions of dollars a year in damage in the agricultural, livestock, wildlife, public health, and electrical equipment spectrums of the U.S. They are a huge burden, and they cost a lot of money to control them.
Okay. The tawny crazy ant originates from South America, and as of 2012, it established colonies in all states along the Gulf of Mexico. It has the name description crazy in its name because of how quick and erratic they can be. They're around 3.2 millimeters long, covered with reddish brown hairs, and live under rocks and stones, preferring the warmth and moisture of the coast. When they attack, the tawny crazy ant is able to bite but cannot sting, and it excretes an acid that will hurt but will fade usually after a minute or so. They are also known to have killed small chickens and known to attack cattle on farms. Nasty pictures out there. As far as being attacked, they survive the fire ant venom 98% of the time due to their gland ducts, which are the things that release the formic acid. This species expands about 300 million in industrial areas and about 207 million in rural landscapes each year. Weirdly, this ant is attracted to electrical equipment, which can cause short circuits. If the ant dies, it releases a pheromone that alerts other ants of an attacker, which then attracts more ants, and then you have an even bigger problem because the ants that are coming to the dying ant, increases the problem. This ant is not attracted to normal ant baits and pesticides and are even harder to kill because their colonies have multiple queens. The way to control them is to use fipronil, which is an anti-termite instrument.
Okay. Well, additional points I want to touch about my ant is, what makes the red important fire ants so invasive is that they are extremely destructive. They dominate their home ranges due to their large numbers and aggressiveness. The lack of natural enemies result in population booms. One cool thing that helps them have a successful invasion and growth is that they can alter the composition of the ecological communities they attack. They attack any animal ranging from reptiles, birds, native ants, small rodents, and even newborn deer and cattle. which in some cases they kill. Also, natural plant ecosystems could potentially be affected due to that they target pollinators. Oh, and following with my rebuttal question for you, so you mentioned that tawny crazy ants don't sting. So how can a bite be more harmful than a sting when it comes to an invasion?
That's a very good question. And so a bite can be more harmful than a sting in a couple ways. First off, when an ant would sting something, it just kind of gives it, a numbing sensation and kind of hurts. But when you bite, not only can you possibly do structural damage to, maybe limbs or something, but you are leaving a numbing sensation also. So the bite might open up the animal or the ant, whatever it's attacking, and then the sting from the pheromone or from the acid released will be kind of a deeper cut into the species or whatever it is that the ant is attacking. And my follow-up rebuttal is, which kind of fire ant, the single queen or the multiple queen, would be better as an invading species, and why?
Oh, okay. Well, as mentioned before, there are two forms of societies in which red important fire ant can live, which is a single queen and multiple queen colonies. Okay. Single. Well, I believe that a single queen colony is a better invading species because they tend to kill foreign queens and aggressively defend their territory. Also, when they reproduce queens, they tend to look for other places to live, which it causes to attack native ants or other animals, which usually kicks them out. And multiple queen colonies, they tend to invite other organisms. Also, their workers are smaller than single queen workers. Also, queens tend to be zygogastric, which means their sac contains less eggs and they reproduce less. Also, queens tend to be sterile and they're well. I mean, the males tend to be sterile and the females they tend to weight less. Yeah.
Okay. And then what's your second rebuttal?
Oh yeah. My second rebuttal would be okay. You talked about how tawny crazy ants release a pheromone when they die. So what if a tawny crazy ant dies due to a normal bait or pesticide? Would it release a pheromone? If so, wouldn't this contradict the idea of them not being attracted to baits or pesticides?
Yes, that would contradict that. However, I think that they released that pheromone when they die due to natural selection and kind of survival of the fittest. So, if that were the case, well, then all the ants that release that acid um, would, you know, not do that because they would not survive as long having that adaptation. But since they are resistant to the pesticides and ant bait, then that's something that works in their favor. So, for example, if they're attacking, if they could be in an electrical closet, and if they get zapped by a wire and they start to die, well, then they'll release that pesticide. Now, in that case, that would be bad for them because it's bringing the ants into a hostile, I guess you could say, environment. But if it were being attacked by another animal of some sort, or another ant, for instance, well, then that would be beneficial because it would be bringing back up to help get payback or save the ant of some sort. Okay, and then we will end with our
Closing
uh,
statements.
closing statements.
Okay. Well, in summary, the red important fire ant is a highly aggressive species. It distributes in high densities and can dominate most potential food sources. It breeds and spreads rapidly, and if disturbed, they can relocate quickly, which means they are ensuring the survival of the colony. Uh, Also, over 40 million people live in areas infested by them, which if they were to be stung, they can it could cause allergic reactions, uh, and even secondary bacterial infections, which can result in an anaphylactic shock and even death. Uh, some current study is researchers are studying uh, multiple queen colonies because it, uh, it defies the evolution. For example, a queen who is a mutant only lays queen eggs. It will be able to like reproduce only queen eggs, which means it would destabilize the like the ecological environment. So I think it's important to study them because it in a way we can like prevent them from like expanding and hurting the like different industrial areas like for example agriculture and all those types. Also we need to like to oh sorry like we need to suppress them to prevent them from also like destroying or attacking native species. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's get the timer. Okay. So my ant is used in research in ways that they are different because they're, they've built up a resistance against these pesticides and ant bait. And so in research, they want to figure out what about the makeup of these ants makes them resistant to these, ant baits and how they know, how their bodies know that it's not, it's not actual food and they don't fall for it. This is important to study because we could possibly relate that to the human body and figure out how the human body could possibly be changed to become more resistant to diseases that we're trying to fight off. So instead of fighting them off, we could make ourselves just resistant to them, and then we won't have to worry about ever catching them. And that wraps up our debate. Thank y'all for listening. Bye.